Indeed, they're not dead yet. They're coming back. Hee hee, let's go, said Green Lady with an indifferent tone. So Ping then found himself in the arsenal where a battle had taken place earlier on. So Ping heard a devastating explosion the moment he arrived. The noise was spread all across the divine residence. Whoosh! Green Lady didn't stay, she became solemn again, then made flash movements with So Ping again. This time, they arrived at the stairs he had crossed in the beginning. He suddenly saw a broken monument at the end of the stairs. There were several ancient characters on it that he didn't know. The deity's stairs are still here. Green Lady looked at it and was about to take So Ping away again, but then he saw a lot of people in the square next to the stairs. They were none other than the leader girl and the others who had been waiting outside. All of them had somehow crossed the stairs and reached the square. Wait a moment. The Green Lady paused for a moment and looked at him, frowning. So Ping said quickly, I have an old acquaintance over there. Could you let me warn her? The three ascendant experts had pierced through the celestial warrior's chest and revealed the previously blocked heavenly pit. Adding what the Green Lady said, So Ping knew that something horrifying must have been released, and staying there would mean death. However, his tree of laws was still in someone else's possession. Hey! The Green Lady frowned and said quickly, you have 1 second. Sure. So Ping summoned his power and sent out a thought into the proud girl's head over at the square. Get out of here. It's very dangerous. The leader girl, who was checking the place at the moment, was stunned to hear the voice. She looked around but didn't see So Ping. However, she recognized him. Is it very dangerous? Her expression changed, when remembering the previous earthquake from a moment earlier. Was the noise not caused by the three ascendants deep inside the divine residence? She looked at the divine palaces in front of her and hesitated. So Ping started to feel anxious, given her passive attitude. Greed was truly the cause of death on many occasions. In any case, he didn't have time to say anything else, because Green Lady had already dragged him away. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have let her keep the Tree of Laws. So Ping smiled bitterly. But it was impossible to predict the future anyway. Once he reappeared, he found himself in space, right outside the divine residence. Is this the outer world these days? Green Lady looked at the stars and planets in the vast universe, then left without hesitation. Many more spacecraft carriers and warships were flying over. All of them were adventurers who intended to find some treasures. Whoosh! So Ping found himself in an empty area. Based on the distant dazzling star, he realized he was already far away from the divine residence. He heaved a sigh as he remembered the many people gathered in the divine residence. He didn't know what was inside the heavenly pit. But since the Twilight Deity King sacrificed himself to stop it and Green Lady preferred not to talk about it, it seemed that the three ascendants would barely be able to stop it. It's too dangerous. While risks may bring fortune, you might also get killed. It's much safer in the cultivation sites, So Ping thought. This place will fall soon. I'll take you away. Green Lady looked back. So Ping knew that she was looking back at the place where the divine residence was. He said, I have a shelter. All you need to do is take me there, senior. A shelter? It won't matter. No shelter can keep you safe. We must go as far away from this place as possible. You mentioned that human beings are the strongest species nowadays. Are there any experts as strong as deity kings among you? Yes, but I don't know if they can arrive in time after the news spreads. Don't entrust your hope of survival to someone else. We'd better get away from this place, Green Lady lectured, as if she was truly grooming So Ping as a future deity king. So Ping asked cautiously, Senior, you only need to take me back to my shelter. It's probably the safest place in the entire universe. The safest place? Is it defended by a deity king? Snapped the Green Lady. So Ping hesitated and scratched his head. No, but there's a guy who's even trickier to deal with than deity kings are. It's likely that not even a deity king can conquer the place. Hey! Green Lady was astonished. She looked at Suaping and noticed that he wasn't joking. She asked, "Are you sure?" "Yes." Suaping nodded. Green Lady was going to say that he had no idea how strong the deity kings were, but his confidence made her hold back and decide to check it out first. After all, there was some distance between that place and the divine residence. Even if those things got out, it would take them a lot of time to get to where they were. "Okay, I'll go there and check it first," said Green Lady, "point out the way." Suaping was relieved. He instantly took out the Lord Badge, which could show his position in the universe. There were satellites everywhere in space, which ensured there would be a signal in every corner. "It's over there," Suaping pointed in one direction. Whoosh! Without a word, Green Lady took Suaping away. Their every flash passed by multiple planets, which amazed Suaping. Very soon, Suaping saw Rhea, which was in the northwest side of Zeruprun. "It's right there." "There?" Green Lady raised her eyebrows and looked down at the planet. She then said, "This planet has a thin spiritual energy. Even the strongest person is barely an upper deity. Are you sure your shelter can block a deity king?" She didn't look good at the moment, feeling that Suaping was underestimating deity kings. Such experts were awe-inspiring. Lack of respect for them was punishable by death in the old days. Well, Suaping didn't know how to respond, but he had a lot of mixed feelings. She knew the situation of the planet after only a quick glance. Was that how terrifying Ascendant State experts were? "It's right there. All you need to do is follow me," said Suaping with a smile. Green Lady frowned but didn't reply. She then took him to a space station outside of Rhea, much closer to the planet. The atmosphere and the checkpoints didn't stop their advance. In the high sky, with sea underneath her feet and continents around her, she asked Suaping, "Where is it?" Suaping checked his position and said, "It's on the continent just ahead. I'll lead the way." He unleashed his astral power to move on his own and simply rushed forward in the fourth space at the highest speed. Several dozens of seconds passed. Suaping then came out of the fourth space and reached the sky above the camp continent. It would take him less than a minute to cross an entire continent. He found that he was able to resist the chaotic sharp torrents in the fourth space with his body and not get hurt. He had just realized how strong he had become. His estimation was that not even top star state experts were able to achieve that. Green Lady wandered casually behind Suaping and observed the scenes down below. She had already scanned the planet fully when she was in space. The bottom of every ocean, which were tens of thousands of kilometers deep, volcanoes, and the rumbling thunder continent which were strewn with beasts, all of it had been investigated, but she didn't find any shelter, according to what Suaping mentioned. Whoosh! Very soon, Suaping found Wofat City and flew there. Suaping reached the sky above the city and then flashed to his store. His sudden arrival shocked the customers that were waiting in a long queue. Still, all of them were shouting excitedly after recognizing him. Right after, they noticed Green Lady who arrived right after him. Many had difficulty breathing after they saw her gorgeous and unworldly face. The previously noisy street instantly fell quiet. "Hey!" Tang Ruyan, who was by the door, noticed Suaping's company and was astonished by Green Lady's look, too. She looked at Suaping in a weird way, as he seemed to have kidnapped another girl who was as beautiful as Joanna, albeit of a different style during his trip. "How was business?" Suaping was finally relaxed after returning to his store. He greeted Tang Ruyan with a smile. Tang Ruyan came back to her senses and snorted coldly. "Do you even need to ask? There are too many customers to receive. While Anna and I were busy making money for you, you actually..." "Actually what?" "Humph." Green Lady glanced at Tang Ruyan and immediately saw through her, inside and out. None of her cells and veins were secrets to her. "This is the shelter you mentioned." Green Lady observed the place, not expecting it to be a store. What caught her attention were the two statues outside the store, which were valuable and intimidating thanks to the essence of beasts sealed inside. The fat mouse underneath the statues was also strange. Its level was low, but it had much more energy than their kind should. Indeed, this is my shelter. I'll show you around and introduce a friend to you. I believe you two will have a lot to talk about, So Ping replied with a smile. He was naturally delighted to return home. After returning home safely, So Ping thought of the trip in retrospect and found it rewarding. It would be even more rewarding if the leader girl returned alive. Green Lady didn't reply, merely choosing to enter the store with So Ping. Oh my god, who is she? She's so beautiful. I thought Ms. Anna was already unparalleled. I didn't know that someone could be as attractive as her. I wonder if she loves seeing people on their knees, because I feel like kneeling before her. Boss Su is so awesome. I heard that he was out on a business trip, and now I see him returning with such a beautiful girl. Is Boss Su a beauty reaper? How can he always find such pretty girls? I think that the strongest female warrior of the Federation can't be as beautiful as them, can she? I wonder if Boss Su is still hiring. I want to work as a gatekeeper for Boss Su. The customers in the queue outside the store came back to themselves and went crazy. All the males, from teenagers to old men, felt excited. Inside the store, So Ping saw that Joanna was receiving a customer behind the counter. He instantly said, "Anna, I'd like to introduce you to a friend." Joanna raised her head, and astonishment flashed in her eyes. Did I feel it right? This stranger feels somewhat familiar. Hey! Green Lady was also surprised. To her amazement, she discovered that she couldn't detect what was happening in the other rooms of the store. Not just the store, she should have been able to see the core of the planet if she wanted to. She didn't pay attention to living quarters such as that one when she scanned the planet. After all, the cities were mostly the same. A shelter able to resist a deity king would normally be elsewhere, not in a downtown area. It should have been a special fortress in the wild. Surprisingly, the shelter was indeed in the downtown area. Of all things, it was a store. A pure-blood god. Green Lady narrowed her eyes in surprise, as she had seen few gods with such pure blood. She also sensed that the woman had a strong body. She was probably part of the royal family among the gods. She is Joanna, my employee. This is Senior Green Lady. Anna, Senior Green Lady is as strong as your original self, So Ping introduced them with a smile. Shock flashed in Joanna's eyes. As strong as my original self? Is the stranger on par with gods of rules? So Ping brought a god of rules back from his trip? It surely is intimidating. Was she the person behind So Ping's back? As strong as her original self? Green Lady was shocked by So Ping's words too. Is this girl only a clone? She was unable to tell, but she could sense that the girl's energy was disproportionate to her level. She had to be an unparalleled genius if she wasn't the clone of a golden deity. After all, it was normal for a clone to have a horrifying aptitude given the experience from the original self. And you said that she's your employee? Green Lady looked at So Ping suspiciously. Did a golden deity ask her clone to work for So Ping? Even her clone should still have dignity. Yes, So Ping nodded with a smile and said, if you want to work in my shop, you can sign an employee contract. Right, if you work for me, I can take you to the chaotic realm of the undead that you want to visit. Suddenly, she stopped, and her body shivered. There was a glimmer of hope in her eyes. She would have laughed at So Ping if she hadn't seen Joanna or that shop which blocked her detection. However, she found that So Ping was rather enigmatic at the moment. Maybe, could this young man indeed have a solution? Maybe, something in the world had changed while I was asleep. Maybe the formerly inaccessible realm has returned to the universe. She became nervous again upon thinking that. Joanna couldn't help but observe Green Lady after hearing So Ping's proposal. She's not So Ping's supporter? Did he really trick her into coming with him? The chaotic realm of the undead. Isn't it a world like the Archean divinity? How could its path be cut off? What kind of being could have done that? That was the ultimate destiny of all the creatures in the universe. However, Green Lady didn't seem to be lying. Joanna felt puzzled about it. At least, she had never heard of that during her years of fighting in the demigod burial. Is it because of the war that took place in the Archean divinity earlier? She thought of many things and fell silent. Tang Ruyan, however, was absolutely confused. She vaguely realized that they were talking about something incredible, but she couldn't make heads or tails about it. Am I so weak that I can't even understand what they were talking about? Tang Ruyan glanced at Suo Ping in frustration. I have my own method, don't worry about that. There's no need for me to trick you, said Suo Ping sincerely. Green Lady looked at his brilliant smile in a trance. If he does have a method, doesn't this mean that I'm only one step away from reviving the Twilight Deity King? Can we go there now? Asked Green Lady quickly. Suo Ping shook his head and said, not now. You must be an employee of this store first and then work hard to be acknowledged as an outstanding employee. Then you'll have the privilege of going there. What's all that about? I can give you all the pills from the divine residence. Take me there now, said Green Lady quickly. Given the importance of the matter, she was not interested in listening to any employee blabber, at all. Is he kidding? Why can't I go there without being an employee, and an outstanding employee, no less? Joanna, however, looked weird. Is he pulling the same trick again? Well, she was quite familiar with that. Is he serious, or just blatantly lying? Is it a trick, just like how he promised to take me to the Archean divinity? She became somewhat suspicious. However, remembering Suo Ping's performances in the demigod burial, especially his ability of infinite resurrections, she realized that it was something that even the superior gods weren't capable of. Whoever was backing him had to be an unimaginable being, and there was no need for him to trick her like that, was there? It has nothing to do with the divine pills. This is just the standard procedure. Only by distinguishing yourself as my employee will I be able to take you there. I can't explain the reason to you. Anyways, that's the rule. Suo Ping spoke in a tough tone and added, Senior, you've waited countless years, you can afford waiting a while longer, right? If you work hard, you'll probably become an outstanding employee in a couple of months. Green Lady was dead serious at the moment. She could afford the long wait when she didn't have a direction, but every second became torture after a glimpse of hope. Can I just give you all the divine pills for a chance to go there? No. Green Lady was lost for words. The divine pills were so tempting that even golden deities would have gone crazy about them, yet Suo Ping simply ignored them. Do the pills not even amount to one employee? Fine, I accept. Green Lady gritted her teeth and compromised. She vaguely realized that there seemed to be some kind of plot in this. For instance, becoming an employee might be a trap. Otherwise, Suo Ping wouldn't have been so persistent. Great. Suo Ping was a lot more relieved to see that she had been persuaded. This pill deity would have to stay inside the store if she worked as his employee, and he could count on her ascendant state help. However, her condition was special. If anyone recognized her while she was outside, all the ascendant state experts in the Federation would probably chase after her. Even though Suo Ping could keep her safe in the store, he wouldn't want all of them to be holed up in the store until he reached the ascendant state. That would take too long. He might consider this if he only had to reach the star state. After all, it was a piece of cake for him to break through. He could take that step immediately if he wanted to. System, draw an employee contract for me. Okay, replied the system quickly in a perky tone. It became increasingly clear to Suo Ping that the system was not a machine but a living creature, and a very cunning one. Humph, a snort echoed. Undoubtedly, it came from the system. It was peeping into his mind as it had always been. Very soon, an employee contract appeared in So Ping's storage. He took it out and read it. It was identical to the slave contract, no, employee contract that Joanna had signed. Okay, sign here with your soul aura, said So Ping. Green Lady narrowed her eyes. She detected a subtle, intangible power that was beyond her understanding on the piece of paper. She became even more surprised. She had traveled a lot of worlds with the Twilight Deity King in the past, but she had never seen anything like that. For sure, you'll truly take me to the chaotic realm of the undead. Certainly. The girl next to you is working for me because she wants to go to the Archean divinity. She's already an outstanding employee, but I've been too busy recently. I'll take her there when I have the time, So Ping nodded at her. Briefly stunned, Green Lady glanced at Joanna and then asked So Ping, you have access to the Archean divinity too? Hasn't the path there been cut off too? Oh, is that so? I'm not sure, but I can go there either way, So Ping shrugged and said. Joanna gazed at So Ping but kept silent. Green Lady glanced at So Ping and was silent for a moment. Then, she released her soul aura and signed the contract. Her heart died when she saw the Twilight Deity King's body shatter. If So Ping hadn't said that the invaders would capture and eat her, she would have attacked them without caring about her own life. She held back simply because she didn't want the guys who ruined his senior's body to benefit. Okay, said Green Lady. Even if the contract was a trap, she was fine with it. She had originally planned to help So Ping become a king and let him search for the chaotic realm of the undead anyway. Hey! A golden light flashed on the contract and then disappeared. Green Lady then sensed that there was something additional in her head. Soon after, she heard an old and awe-inspiring voice. It was more like some sort of will rather than a voice. The will was inviolable and untraceable. Even though she had seen many dignitaries along with the Twilight Deity King, she felt frightened in front of that ancient will. She had the feeling that the will could destroy her soul completely. What kind of being is that? Very soon, the will informed her of some rules. Those were rules that an employee should follow. In addition, there were also the duties that an employee should carry out. She was shocked for a long time after accepting the will. There was astonishment in her eyes when she regained control of herself and looked at the young man. Is that being his backer? Green Lady was no longer as suspicious. She had felt that the ancient will's presence was even more horrifying and unimaginable than that of deity kings. Is it an ancient deity emperor? Deity emperors were masters of the deity realms and equal to the heavens. So Ping then saw the new employee in the store menu too. All her detailed information had been listed, including her skills, cultivation, and the usages of her body. Well, that was all the system's work. So Ping had nothing to do with it. She's a divine pill that contains the air of chaos. So Ping was rather amazed. He didn't know that she had been made with the chaotic energy when the universe came into being. No wonder she could help with advancements. Starting from today, you'll be an employee in this shop. I'm the boss here, and I would like to thank you for your help in advance, said So Ping courteously. Green Lady had saved him multiple times. Although she had become his employee, he still respected her. She replied with complicated feelings, got it. If I become an outstanding employee, you won't go back on your word, would you? Of course not. You'll be free to go anywhere, as stipulated on the contract. You can even go to the Archean divinity if you want to, said So Ping solemnly. Green Lady nodded and put on a smile, which almost brightened the entire shop as if snow were thawing in spring. I'll do my best. Yes. At this moment, So Ping was again worrying about the catastrophe in the divine residence. Although he was safe in his store, there were countless innocent people on Rhea who had nowhere to go. Also, besides Rhea, the entire Zero Prun solar system had a huge population too. Mia's family rules over Zero Prun, I should inform them. So Ping remembered Mia, who had been to his store several times. She had told him her family name. Sua Ping looked them up via the Lord badge and found that her family had reigned in that planetary system for 10,000 years. The leader of her family had lived even longer. The last Lord of Zeroprun had been ousted due to a violation of federal law, and the Lei Fa family replaced them. Beeb. Hey? Boss Su. The call soon went through, and Mia's surprised and delighted voice was heard, accompanied by another female voice. Mia, who is it? You seem so happy. Is it your boyfriend? Ah, no. Mia was speaking to the girl on the other side of the phone in a shy tone. Sua Ping could already imagine her reddened face. He couldn't help but cough and say, "It's me. There's something important I need to tell you." Mia became calm again and then asked Sua Ping, "What is it, Boss Su?" Sua Ping said solemnly, "You know about the recently opened Divine Residence, right? Something happened there, I just ran back to my store. There's a terrifying thing inside the Divine Residence. I don't know if it can escape, but it probably will. You'd better ask your family to investigate the matter and take countermeasures accordingly." Hey! Mia didn't expect Sua Ping to talk about the Divine Residence. She thought he would talk about pets. After a moment of shock, she asked, "Boss Su, are you serious? But didn't 3 Ascendant State experts enter it already? Even if there's something in there, they should be able to suppress it, right?" Sua Ping was at a loss for words. Those 3 guys were exactly the cause of this disaster. What could they suppress? Probably not. I'm not sure of the details. You'd better ask your family to investigate as soon as possible, said Sua Ping solemnly. He didn't mention the heavenly pit's level of danger, as this would expose how far he had explored in the Divine Residence. Besides, even if he said how dangerous it was, she might not believe him. After all, he only impressed her as someone with a star state cultivation. The family backing her was led by a Star Lord and had countless Star State members. They wouldn't be intimidated by a Star State alarmist, and would only send investigators to check on the matter. With that in mind, Sua Ping didn't confess everything he knew. Those people would find out everything once they went there. Well, Mia hesitated. Her position in her family wasn't important. There were plenty of members in the Lei Fa family, and more than 1 million of them were considered elites. She was strong, but she wasn't qualified to ask for attention from her family. Also, should the alarm be false, it would bring great trouble to her and her parents, who might be lambasted by the other branches of the family. "Mia, did you just say Ascendant State? What's going on?" "Sister Offit, the thing is..." Mia quickly informed her of the situation. "Seriously?" "Yes, that's what Boss Su said. He's a Grandmaster trainer, I don't think he's lying." "A Grandmaster trainer? Okay, I'll contact my father and ask him to look into it." "Thank you, Sister Offit." "Don't thank me. If the alarm is true, we'll be in great danger." The 2 girls talked on the other side of the phone. Then, Mia suddenly realized that Sua Ping was still waiting, so she quickly apologized. Sua Ping didn't feel bothered, he had nothing else to worry about since the matter had been reported. Once he hung up the phone, Sua Ping thought for a moment and entered the alliance via the Lord badge. However, the meeting room was absolutely empty. Were they all eliminated? Sua Ping's lips twitched. The Tree of Laws was still in the hands of their leader. It was true that women were obstacles in men's growth. Sua Ping exited the badge's virtual network. He heaved a sigh and suddenly remembered O'Neill. The guy was in her small world and had probably died too. If so, wouldn't Rhea be unowned at the moment? Then, wouldn't he be able to pick the Transcendence fruits free whenever he wanted? Sua Ping could exploit the Rein family in any way he wanted if O'Neill was out of the picture. He had also grown much stronger that he could defeat O'Neill and rob him silly if he ever returned. However, being a civilized man, he preferred not to rob, unless he didn't have a choice. "How is the pet contest going? Have we reached the finals yet?" Sua Ping asked Tang Ruyan. Tang Ruyan woke up from her absent-mindedness. Seeing the care in Sua Ping's eyes, she felt warm and nodded. Almost. You've been away for a week. The finals will be held soon. A week. Sua Ping was stunned, as he thought he had returned in only half a day. Did the time flow at a different speed? Sua Ping realized that a day in one place might mean a week in another. All right, you can go and receive the customers. Without giving much detail, Sua Ping said to Tang Ruyan, Senior Green Lady is new here. Teach her if she doesn't know how things are done. Okay. Tang Ruyan nodded obediently. Sua Ping was quite unaccustomed to her obedience. He found it weird that she wasn't arguing with him. He currently had 3 employees, 2 were official, plus a temporary one. So, he could finally retire. He sat on the couch and checked the updates of the alliance on the Lord badge. A piece of news was pushed to him right at that moment. Hey! Sua Ping shivered and sat straight when he saw the title. Who will claim the mysterious tree on the blue planet, human beings' ancestral home? Sua Ping clicked the title and instantly saw paragraphs and pictures. The blue planet in the news was exactly his hometown. The battle had lasted 3 days. The natives of the blue planet fought against those foreign forces to defend the mysterious tree, but they were immediately suppressed. Forces from the other planets were currently competing for the tree. Damn it! Fury burst out of Sua Ping's eyes. He remembered that the strongest warriors on the planet were Nai Huofeng and Qin Dehuang when he left. No one knew where the mysterious tree came from. In any case, it belonged to the blue planet. The forces from other planets had gone to the blue planet and suppressed the natives. They were almost like lawless burglars. My dad is a heaven executor. He's quite strong, and I left some items to him to use for self-defense. Did he join the battle? Sua Ping became even more anxious. Green Lady then noticed Sua Ping's expression and asked, What's wrong? The busy Joanna and Tang Ruyan also looked at him. They were both stunned to see Sua Ping's expression, as he would always act calm and composed, they would rarely see him so upset. Big things were bound to happen when he was infuriated. Tang Ruyan ignored her customer and asked with concern, What's the matter? Holding back his fury, Sua Ping rose and said, I need to go back to the blue planet. Back to the blue planet. Tang Ruyan changed her expression. Did something happen on the blue planet? I'll go with you. You stay here. I'll go back by myself. Tang Ruyan bit her lips hard. She didn't like being regarded as a liability. Sua Ping turned around and said to Green Lady and Joanna. The store is yours. I'll go with you. Green Lady frowned and said, You're my only hope. I won't let you go away. I'll go anywhere you are. Sua Ping shook his head and replied, I could have taken you with me if it were before, but now you can only stay inside the store since you signed the employee contract. I can't take you even if I wanted to. He would have asked her to take him back home had he read the news sooner. Being transported by an ascendant was much faster than taking a spaceship. Hey! Green Lady changed her expression when he heard his reply and quickly flashed to the door. An invisible power was then activated, keeping her inside. At the same time, the ancient will that had disappeared in her head had just sent out an inviolable thought again. The thought warned her, telling her she would be erased if she attempted to step out of the area. Green Lady gritted her teeth. She didn't quite believe it, so she extended her arm forward. Buzz! Divine light was dispersed like snow, and her fingertip was evaporated. There was no wave of any power, but something was destroying her. Green Lady quickly retreated her hand, but half of her thumb had been cut off. She spent some of her pill power and finally regenerated the severed finger. Green Lady's sudden arrival stunned the customers in line. They were also shocked by the divine light in her hands. All of them were able to sense a magnificent power that was completely beyond them. The feeling was even more horrifying than that of the Star State. Is she a Star Lord? The people in the queue became jealous upon thinking that, Boss Su had found a woman who was both pretty and strong on his trip. They could only curse inwardly, wishing that he couldn't remain a pretty boy forever. Whoosh! Green Lady didn't give them more chances to appreciate her. She flashed back into the shop with an awful expression. It's useless. It's one of the terms on the employee contract. You should have read them, said Suaping. Green Lady was stunned for a moment. She didn't know that the things on the contract were true. Back then, she had thought that they were merely words that she couldn't be stopped even if she defied the contract. However, the truth had proved her wrong. I won't let you leave my sight. Green Lady gritted her teeth and stared at him. Although I can't leave this shop, I can move it anywhere you go. You can move this shop. Dazed, Suaping asked the system in his heart, is it possible? What do you think? My shop can't be moved by a random person, replied the system angrily. Suaping could picture a pair of eyes rolling at him. He didn't know whether he should feel disappointed or happy. If possible, he would love to see Green Lady moving the shop back to the blue planet. He would feel more reassured if an ascendant state expert was by his side too. What made him happy was that the system remained as powerful as before, which was rather reassuring. It's useless. You can't move this shop, or you wouldn't be confined here to begin with, Suaping shook his head and said. Green Lady closed her eyes and then opened them a moment later. She said gloomily, this shop does seem to be an unparalleled artifact that I cannot move. Suaping nodded and said, that's one way to look at it. The shop is yours. I'll be on my way. Wait a moment, Green Lady quickly shouted. Suaping frowned and looked at her. I've just made an attempt. Although I cannot leave this store, I can send my power outside. If I can't move this store, I'll move the whole planet, said Green Lady. Suaping was stupefied, and so was Tang Ruin. However, Joanna remained calm, as if he weren't surprised at all. You are going to move this planet. Suaping realized what she just said and looked at her in shock. Move this planet? Do all the Ascendant Bigs Hots talk like that? Yes. Where are you heading to? I'll just push this planet there, said Green Lady solemnly. Well, Suaping didn't know what to say. Pushing a planet sounded unbelievable to him, still, it was probably as easy as playing marbles for the Ascendant State Bigs Hots. Let me find the map. Suaping didn't say anything else. He was in a hurry, and he wanted to return to the blue planet as soon as possible. Suaping searched for the blue planet on the Lord Badge and soon found it on the east side of Sylvie. After the migration, the blue planet had arrived at a solar system called Mox in the Sylvie galaxy. Mox was 10 times larger than their previous solar system. 100 planets shared one super Sunday. Choose your vehicle, spaceship, interstellar train, foot. Suaping chose foot. All the other ways of transportation required zigzagging, and the route on foot was the most direct one. It's in that position, but it's very far away, across many solar systems. Suaping projected the map on the Lord Badge and pointed out the way for Green Lady. Sure. Green Lady looked at it and took a deep breath. An unpredictable aura suddenly burst out of her body, and she said, let's go. Suaping was surprised. Exclamations burst out exactly at that moment. Inside the store Suaping also sensed the earthquake and his eyes widened. Is Green Lady already pushing the planet? He was quite shocked. That was the power of the Ascendant State. Blowing up a planet was nothing, pushing it away was much more awesome. Even Suaping was already able to blow up a planet. All he needed to do was dig deep into the planet and unleash his power at its core. Then, he could destroy the planet by detonating the heated core. However, to push the planet away was a wonder that he couldn't imagine. It had to be noted that it was a revolving planet which was attracted to Zeroprun's gravity. To push it, she had to stop it from revolving and then free it from the gravity circles of other planets. What's going on? An earthquake? That's not possible. There's an earth predictor in Wofet City. Besides, the rock-armored beasts defend the underground world. How can there be earthquakes? Oh my good, look, the moon is out. It really is. What's going on here? Exclamations came from outside of the shop. Su Ping flashed outside of the shop and immediately saw how the sky previously sunny a moment ago had gone dark, and stars were flying above his head. In addition, a silver moon had appeared in the sky and illuminated the city. Well, Tang Ruyan, who had also walked out, was also shocked by the scene. She's pushing the planet? Is the woman that strong? And still, Su Ping managed to snatch her? The shock in her eyes was soon replaced by frustration. Su Ping, however, didn't notice any of her reactions. He was too shocked to say anything when he saw the flashing stars outside. He returned to the store and saw that Green Lady was enshrouded in emerald light. She doesn't seem to be a human being. Joanna had appeared next to him at some point. She gazed at Green Lady and spoke telepathically. Su Ping gazed at the deity and said solemnly, "She is." Joanna looked at him and frowned. Su Ping lowered his head and looked at the Lord badge. The map was still there. His eyes slightly widened, as he saw that Rhea was indeed moving on the map at a visible speed. Rhea had indeed jumped away from Zero Prun. It was being pushed towards the blue planet like a shooting star. Everybody on Rhea was shocked at the moment. The changes in the stars were so fast that they were visible to the naked eye. Everybody was confused, clueless about the situation. Some even thought that it was an illusion. The media on all the planets were seething. They sent out all their investigators and reporters to look into the matter. Central Continent Rein headquarters. All the important departments were shocked. The astronomy department, which was responsible for monitoring outer space, was particularly astounded. What am I seeing? We're sailing away from Zero Prun. Have the planet's propellers been activated? But there's no energy reading. What's happening? Hit me. I must be hallucinating because I didn't sleep enough. Apart from the astronomy department, the group responsible for the planetary propellers was also dumbfounded. Inspectors were sent to examine them immediately. Those propellers had been designed to alter the planet's trajectory to avoid the supposedly unavoidable meteorites. However, most of the meteorites would have been destroyed by cannons while still in space. Report. Planet propeller in Area 1 is inactive. Report. Planet propeller in Area 2 is inactive. Reporting, the messages were sent out quickly. The leaders were stunned by the outcome. None of the planet propellers had been activated. Why had the planet thrown itself out of Zero Prun's gravitational pull? Very soon, the message was reported to the Ryan family's headquarters. The leaders of the family gathered in the meeting room as holographs. An emergency meeting was held. You didn't find out the reason? Damn it, what's your job? Being useless. A mysterious power has covered Rhea. Have you found the source of the power? What's the energy? Hurry. Contact Zero Prun. Use the planet caller and ask for Lord Lei Fa's help. Hurry and calculate the speed of the planet and the blast if we hit any meteorite. Deploy all warships. We must keep the planet safe before the Lord arrives. Heat the cannons first, and destroy the meteorites if we encounter any. Ask all civilians in the globe to run to the shelters. Ask all cities to activate their energy shields. We're going to pass through this together. In the meeting room, the leader of the Ryan family roared. He had to make those decisions since O'Neill, the president, had yet to return. All the Ryan family members were as busy as bees. The sudden movement caught all of them completely unprepared. Everyone on Rhea had walked out of their homes and looked up at the cosmic view above their heads. The sky was ever-changing. They saw galaxies they had only seen on TVs flash right in front of their eyes. Some planets were very huge, and brushed past the atmosphere. Some enormous meteorites flew away at a high speed too. All the changes gave them the illusion that the planet was rushing forward like a train. However, was that even possible? Everybody was dumbfounded. What slightly calmed them down was that even though the stars were changing constantly, there were no more bumps or earthquakes except the first one. However, as time went by, some felt that they had trouble breathing. The oxygen in the air seemed to be vibrating, which made it hard for them to breathe. The people in some areas felt that the gravity had intensified, and there was more pressure in the air due to an oppressive force coming from the sky. What's going on? Is this the apocalypse? I think I just saw Centaurus, but it's supposed to be far away from us. How could this be? Everyone on the planet was currently paying attention to the unusual phenomena above their heads. Even the adventurers on the rumbling Thunder continent were shocked and overwhelmed by the weird things happening. Sua Ping saw that the planet was quickly moving forward according to the map on the Lord badge. He became worried and asked Green Lady, who was exerting her strength, would the planet collapse if it's pushed away? The vague divine aura on Green Lady's cheeks was absorbed, revealing her extraordinary face. She replied calmly, "No. I've covered this planet with my power to offset the blast. Otherwise, all the human beings on it would have died." Sua Ping was slightly relieved. Such a method was beyond what he was able to understand. And there was a deep lake at the peak. Half of the lake had been filled with blood. A dragon was crouching in front of the enormous lake. Its body had been entirely tied up with chains and impaled with sharp black nails, making it impossible for it to move. Next to the strong vast sky thunderous dragon was a white long serpent. Its white scales were blood-stained, and was also impaled to the ground. An intimidating, cold and ruthless voice emerged from an old dragon. "You come from a lesser species, and yet you allured one of our kind and attempted to have a child. That's punishable by death. Kill them! Kill them! Kill them!" All the dragons roared outside of the field. Their roars echoed throughout the mountain. On the ground, the long white serpent lay with sorrow in its eyes. Nearby, the restrained dragon suddenly widened its half-open eyes. Roar! It let out such a mad and intimidating roar all the other dragons' roars were suppressed. "You must kill me first if you want to kill her," said the enchained dragon with bloodshot eyes. It craned its head, and the chains on its body were tightening and tearing at its body. Blood sprang and dripped on its scales. It raised its head and looked around with pride and dignity. On the ground, the long serpent trembled and looked at it. Tears flooded out of its eyes. It sobbed and said, "No, don't worry about me. You're the prince, they won't do anything to do. My death is nothing. If there's an afterlife, I'll definitely be reborn as a dragon so that we can live together. You don't need to be reborn as a dragon. You are a perfect match for me right now." The massive dragon lowered its head and looked down gently. The long white serpent cried sadly with tears on its face. All of a sudden, a devastating roar burst out, and a horrifying pressure covered the field. "Shut up!" All the dragons lowered their heads and looked at the new arrival in awe. It was their clan master. "Evil son! You mated with a humble longworm and even gave birth to a weird bastard. When will you come to your senses?" bellowed the clan master furiously. "She's not a longworm. She's my partner." The dragon raised its head and looked at the superior being, which was actually much bigger than itself. That was their king, the one it had never dared to defy, until that day. It looked at its father with fury and determination in its eyes. "Shut up!" the clan master roared again, finding it impossible to tolerate the situation. It said to an older dragon nearby, "Execute them and let them die in the dragon transformation lake. It'll be our last mercy for them." "As your wish, clan master." The old dragon accepted the order dutifully. Exactly at that moment, an exclamation burst out. The sky above became dark, and the moon appeared. Stars were also moving at a high speed at the same time, and a neighboring planet with a distinctive ring was left behind. It could no longer be seen. "Hey!" The clan master was stunned to see that. It raised its head in shock. "Why is the planet moving? How is it possible? O'Neill is definitely incapable of this." Did he encounter a formidable enemy? At this moment, the nearby dragons also exclaimed, shocked by the unprecedented scene. An elder couldn't help but ask, "See, Clan Master, what's this about? Is it an illusion? What's O'Neill up to? Has he found out about our escape operation?" The Clan Master was puzzled and suspicious too. On the ground, the impaled vast sky thunderous dragon didn't look at the strange phenomena. It simply lowered its head and tried its best to move closer to the long white serpent despite the flowing blood. They looked at each other affectionately, they only cared about each other at the moment. Being determined to die, they preferred to cherish whatever time they had left together. "The stars are moving. No, I think our planet is moving. What's going on?" All the dragons looked up at the sky, so distracted by the unusual phenomena that they forgot about the execution altogether. The Laefa family, which ruled over their planetary system, was also shocked when Rhea sailed away from Zero-Prun. They had been monitoring every planet in their territory. They had quickly noticed when Rhea bolted away. What is going on? Is Rhea running away? Was it pulled out from the gravity ring? Is there something wrong with the planet's gravity? I don't think so. The readings of the surveillance devices are normal. It seems that some external power is pushing this planet away. Weird. It's been detected that the waves on the planet were in the green range when it broke free from the solar system. They were only equal to a level 9 tsunami. That's not possible. It's fleeing so fast that a global level 20 apocalyptic tsunami should have been caused, considering the momentum. At the same time, Rhea's cry for help was sent. Very soon, their intelligence report and Rhea's cry for help were both delivered to the leader of the Laefa family. Rhea is flying off orbit. Weird. No need to panic. I'll go there and take a look. The master of the Laefa family instantly set off to investigate. Being a Star Lord, he had his own special spaceship. He took it out of his storage and rose to the sky in the blink of an eye. Then, the engines were fully activated, boosting the spaceship into a vortex right in front of it like a sharp arrow. Whoosh! The spaceship disappeared. It was already 8 light-years away when it reappeared. The spaceship soon reached Rhea after a few consecutive ships. While inside the spaceship, the Star Lord saw that Rhea was moving forward in the void like a burning meteorite. Hey! The Lord was shocked by what he found when he caught up with Rhea. This planet seems to be covered by a mysterious and profound power. Is that an ascendant state power? It was shocking. Rhea is being moved by an ascendant state expert? Why would an ascendant expert steal planet Rhea? It's not that prosperous a planet anyway. Did they find a random target? Weird. The ascendant state expert never contacted me to talk about the matter. Is it due to fear of violating federal law? Lord Laefa frowned, wondering what to do. He couldn't be reckless when dealing with an ascendant state bigshot. "My lord, should we intercept Rhea?" said a sexy girl who wore a delicate space uniform. She smiled with a vivacious expression, but she was actually a robot. Her skin was made of silicone gel which felt like human skin. "No. Let's just follow it for now," said Lord Laefa, frowning. It wouldn't hurt to wait until things were made clear. On Rhea, inside the store in Wofet City. Suaping asked Tang Ruin to send the customers away and close the store. Although some of the customers had noticed the glowing green lady, they didn't know what she was doing, and would never associate the pusher of the planet with such a beautiful girl. After all, everything was too unbelievable. Most people were still unable to believe that their planet was moving. They thought that something had gone wrong in outer space. So fast. "Senior, how much longer can you hold up?" Suaping was still shocked as he looked at the map on the Lord badge. The planet was moving as fast as a spaceship. "How much longer?" Green Lady turned around and looked at him. "Are you kidding me? You think this is an exhausting task? Fine, forgive me. The planet will do a spatial jump. It may be bumpy," said Green Lady. Then, the emerald light outside her body became more brilliant. After a dumb, So Ping felt an earthquake and heard exclamations. The sky is gone. All the stars are missing. What's going on? Everybody was shocked and frightened, not having the faintest idea about what was happening to the planet. So Ping came out of the store and looked, only to be crept out, as Green Lady had inserted the entire planet into a deeper space. Deeper spaces were so dangerous that only those in the void state could travel in the secondary space. However, considering the pitch-dark space outside the planet, So Ping felt that it was more likely to be the tertiary space or the fourth space. The deeper the space was, the faster one could travel. Suddenly, So Ping heard ambiguous whispers that disappeared at a fast speed. However, he already had goosebumps. Were those the whispers of the ancient creatures in the fifth space? While So Ping was numbed by shock, stars appeared in the sky again, and rays of sunlight were far away. A radiating star could be seen at a distance. They had jumped into a solar system. Very soon, the scenes disappeared as the planet jumped again. So Ping returned to his store and looked at Green Lady, only to find that she was more solemn than before. It seemed that flying a planet in deeper spaces was a demanding task even for an ascendant state expert. So Ping looked down at the map, only to be astounded. The previous jump had covered 1/5 of the entire journey. They crossed at least 7 solar systems, and were hundreds of thousands of light years away. Blue planet, So Ping looked at the glittering spot on the map, which was where his home planet was located. Father, mother, sister, wait for me. I'm coming. So Ping began to make preparations. He summoned the Inferno Dragon, the little skeleton and other pets and made sure they were in their best status. Very soon, the second space jump was over. The distance was significantly shortened again. Time flew. Everybody on Rhea remained shocked. At the same time, on the blue planet. Ever since the deep caves were unsealed, the planet's landmass was significantly improved, and it was much bigger than before. Constructors returned to the continents that were ruined by beast tides when the disaster was over, then began the reconstruction process. Most of the destroyed base cities had been mostly fixed. In a deep sea adjoining the subcontinent district one could see a tall tree standing. The lower half of the tree was submerged in the surging sea, and the exposed part had already pierced through the clouds, seemingly stretching out of the atmosphere. The crown of the tree was surrounded by clouds. Its green leaves were reflecting sunlight, showing its extraordinary nature. That was exactly the mysterious tree that had emerged on the blue planet a couple of days prior. The tree was so enormous that it was soon discovered. There was no way to hide it. The blue planet was already connected to the Federation at the moment. Many travelers had gone to the blue planet, which was the oldest planet known as the origin of life, to see what that ancient planet actually looked like. Given the presence of all those foreign travelers, it was impossible to keep the tree a secret. More and more adventurers had gathered for the tree as time went by. Right then many people were looking at each other vigilantly above the tree. There's a mysterious force field underneath the tree's crown. I can't approach it. None of my laws can break it. This tree is so mysterious. I think it'll yield an incredible fruit. This may very well be a Star Lord plant. The Beloya family came here first, so the ancient tree belongs to us. Does everyone agree? Bulls asterisk it. Whoever sees it gets a share. The Beloya family isn't qualified to monopolize it. All of them looked at each other coldly, mutually regarding the others as their competitors. Far in the distance, several men floated on the sea and looked up at the tree, as well as the foreigners above it. That massive ancient tree grew too fast, it has to be a precious treasure. Are we really giving it away to the foreigners? What choice do we have? Our Lord isn't here. Senior Nai was wounded and is still resting. All the warriors present are in the star state just like Senior Nai. We're incapable of keeping the tree, even if we wanted to. Damn it! The tree grew on our planet. Why do we have to give it away? We're not even allowed to have a share. A few men responsible for monitoring the invaders had gathered there. All of them had grim and angry looks. The crown of the tree emitted golden divine light that contained green energy. Suddenly, the energy was gathered on one of the branches and attracted all the energy floating in the air, forming a huge vortex. A storm was caused, just as if a whale were playing with water. What's going on? Is the tree awake? It seems that something is about to be born. It feels as if all the energy in the environment is being absorbed. All the forces were shocked and suspicious, eyes glittering. The tree was definitely remarkable, but nobody knew its effects. Such a manifestation had never happened before. Far from the tree's crown, a lot of the Blue Planet's media representatives were streaming the scene remotely. The tree had garnered the attention of all the planet's inhabitants. Many were reluctant to give it away, but there was nothing they could do. A lot of the battle pet warriors who had just been admitted in academies were still young men, they could only stand and watch the scene unfold. Their blood was hot and all of them were infuriated, but watching the invaders take the treasure away was their only option. Countless young men swore to themselves that they would grow strong and defend their hometown, so that they wouldn't suffer such a humiliation ever again. The light and energy underneath the crown gradually faded, revealing a crystal fruit that was more than 5 meters tall. It was quite unique, surrounded by green leaves, and only the tip of the fruit was revealed. The tree has yielded a fruit. It straight off bore a fruit. The fruit attracted the energy within a radius of thousands of kilometers. Considering the added essence of the tree itself, it must be very special. The Baroque family will take the fruit. Get lost. The fruit belongs to us. Cut the crap. Whoosh. Very soon, someone flew towards the divine fruit. The space under the crown was sealed and nobody was able to break into the secondary space, they could only approach it with movement techniques. Even though none of them could do flash movements, they still dashed as quickly as lightning and soon reached the tree. Bang! Someone took action and blocked the man who reached the tree first, intending to take the fruit for himself, but very soon, a third person attacked him, forcing him to defend himself, otherwise he would have been too heavily wounded to secure the fruit. A great battle was about to happen. All the experts summoned their battle pets, the power of law swept across the universe. Glamorous skills appeared, divine lotuses and giant swords attacked in midair, unleashing dazzling energy that felt like thousands of nuclear explosions. Their blasts could push a continent away. The powerful attacks shadowed the experts and their pets. The natives of the Blue Planet who were seeing the battle from a distance, some who had just become legends, were frightened by those exchanges and were only able to resist the blasts with their bodies. The aftershocks of the attacks were already forcing them to retreat non-stop. Damn it! That divine fruit must be marvelous, but they're taking it away. A bunch of legends of the Blue Planet stood at a distance with contorted expressions. Together they tried to resist the blasts. Get the hell out of my way! Exactly at that moment a roar burst out from their rear. Several men flew close by and scolded the planet's natives for crowding their path. The natives showed a slight change in their expressions, but then they saw a giant purple hand aim to slap them and push them away before they could dodge. Many legends who failed to dodge in time vomited blood, and 2 titled warriors were killed, with eyeballs popping out. Even their bodies had fallen apart. Natives? Don't you know that you're like ants? You think barbarians such as yourselves can get this fruit, said a young man in disdain behind the giant purple hand. He sprinted forward towards the battlefield along with several men behind him. Qin Yamu! Lu Jian! Several roars echoed, and the wounded legends rushed to the exploding mists of blood. There was nothing they could do except to watch the death of the titled talents of their families. All of them trembled with fury. They had been told that the Federation was a place where law mattered, but they didn't know that the law of the jungle would still be the main theme. Strong enough people could ignore the law, or rather, the law was designed to defend their interests. That tree belonged to the Blue Planet, yet they didn't have a share in it and couldn't even look at it. Weakness was always the ultimate sin. The legends were angry but none dared to say anything. They clenched their fists with gloomy faces. Boom! The battle ahead became fiercer by the minute. Power of laws exploded in the battle, the lingering energy was enough to wipe out many people in the fate state. A lot of legends who showed up to watch had been scared off, many feared that they could be accidentally killed. Whoosh! It was then when for some reason the recently condensed fruit suddenly broke free from the branch, then flew in a certain direction, leaving a golden trail of light behind. Not good. The divine fruit is fleeing. It's so fast. What kind of fruit is that? I think it's very smart. Chase it. The experts had no time to fight each other anymore, they quickly chased after the target. While chasing it, they attacked each other and tried blocking the others. While all those warriors competed, a spot of light had appeared in the space beyond the atmosphere like a glittering star. Then, the spot of light gradually grew big and revealed its true self, turning out to be a planet that was moving at full speed in that dark universe. The planet, like an aggressive cannonball, was like a shooting star. This is the place. The blue planet is right up ahead. In Ria, So Ping stood outside his store. He no longer needed the map, as he was able to see the beautiful and blue planet expanding visibly in front of his eyes. The distance between them was quickly shortening. The blue planet. He was finally back. So Ping was quite excited. Green Lady had been pushing the planet dozens of times faster than a spaceship could have flown. Senior, lower the speed and approach it, So Ping said to Green Lady. Sure. Green Lady accepted the task. The rapidly moving planet decelerated. The inertial forces caused by the quick braking was offset by using her ascendant state power, so that the residents on the planet only shivered a little bit when they saw that the stars in the sky slowed down. What's that? What a huge planet! I think we've slowed down. Are we still in Zero Prun? Have we really been drifting this whole time? Is it my illusion, or are we about to crash into that planet? It's so huge. What's that planet? I don't think it belongs to Zero Prun. All the people on Ria were shocked, they kept on talking amongst themselves. Many were frightened by the beautiful and blue planet becoming increasingly bigger in their eyes. The collision of two planets could even kill Fate State warriors, only Star State experts who could flee from the planets in advance would be able to survive such a dreadful blast. However, the approaching planet stopped moving, which meant that Ria had come to a stop, avoiding the impending crash. Everybody on the globe was relieved. All the bigwigs of the Rein family exhaled in relief too. All of them felt the cold sweat on their backs. Hey! It was then when So Ping saw a huge cloud of energy in one of the blue planet's seas. The energy cloud was colorful and massive. Since he was close enough, he was even able to see some of the mountains. Is that? So Ping squinted and his face became cold. He saw that many men were chasing after a golden streak of light inside the planet's atmosphere. On the other hand, an unimaginably huge tree crown could be vaguely seen in the cloud. It probably belonged to the ancient tree that the news had mentioned. So Ping had no time to feel amazed by the size of the tree anymore. As he looked at the chasers, he quickly realized that a battle had already started on the blue planet. He simply wondered if Nai Huofeng was among them. Wait for me here. I'll take a trip home. Inside the store, Green Lady dispelled her divine power and said to So Ping calmly, Go. I'll bring you back immediately if you are in danger. The distance between these two planets is short enough for me to manage. Take these pills too, 2 of them can increase your combat ability to the maximum and save your life. But take them as a last resort, because they will produce some side effects. She then waved her hand and threw several pills at So Ping. 2 of the pills were packed in a red box and sealed with divine aura, they obviously looked extraordinary. So Ping didn't stand on ceremony, he simply accepted them. Wait for me to come back. How are you going to get there? Do you need a spaceship? Asked Tang Ruyan worriedly. She also wanted to tag along to visit her home. That's unnecessary. Sua Ping stepped out, with unmasked anger and aggression in his eyes. Whoosh! He suddenly disappeared from the store and dashed away. A lot of the customers in the queue noticed Sua Ping's sudden disappearance. They showed faces of suspicion and surprise, not knowing where Sua Ping was going. The next moment Sua Ping appeared outside of Ria's atmosphere, tens of thousands of meters high in the sky. Then, he tore an opening in the void and disappeared again. Once he reappeared, he was already beyond the atmosphere in the vacuum of space. He felt the radiation, the coldness and pressure of the cosmos. Oxygen was no longer present. Even so, Sua Ping didn't need to breathe, the cells in his body were blasting like billions of engines, boosting him towards the blue planet. He then leaped down from space. Bang! Sua Ping broke through and entered the blue planet's atmosphere. His rapid fall caused friction, making his body look like a burning meteorite. At the same time, the people on the blue planet were shocked by the events in the sky. They noticed that a planet had appeared right above their heads. It was even bigger than the blue planet. Those who had telescopes were even able to see the buildings, cities, and even the human beings on that planet. Where is that planet from? There was also another phenomenon. The planets were so close that their gravity should have influenced each other. However, both stood still quietly. What is that planet? Oh my god, it's so huge. I think I can see the mountains and cities on it. There are people on that planet. There are so many of them. Where is that planet from? It seems to have dashed over just now, but then it suddenly stopped. On the blue planet, the travelers from other planets were just as shocked as the natives were. The sudden appearance of a planet was almost unbelievable. It felt like someone was piloting the planet. However, what kind of power could have pushed a planet as if it were a spaceship? Unimaginable. Look, someone's coming. A meteorite is making its way into the atmosphere. Wait, that's a human being. A burning human being. Oh my god, did he just jump down from space? He seems to be going for the mysterious tree too. Countless people noticed Sua Ping at that moment, just as he jumped to enter the blue planet directly from space. The cameras of various media outlets were able to record when Sua Ping was approaching the ancient tree. Thanks to the camera feeds, everybody across the globe saw clearly that the thing which was falling rapidly was a man who looked like the god of fire. That's. In a certain base on the blue planet, Nai Huofeng, who was treating his wounds, looked at the man on the screen and suddenly sat straight on the bed, with his eyes wide open. His eyes were so keen that he had already recognized the face of the burning man. Is it him? Or is it an illusion? It all happened in the blink of an eye. The next moment, having jumped straight down, Sua Ping changed his trajectory and flew towards the golden streak of light like a shooting star. Whoosh! Given the gravitational acceleration and his own speed, Sua Ping was so fast that he streaked across the sky like a beam of light. Bang! He then came to a sudden stop. Sua Ping's feet landed in the sky as if stepping on solid ground. The immense blast caused such a loud noise that it was like the detonation of a nuclear bomb. The blast was transmitted to the sea down below, too. The sea jolted, and waves of thousands of meters high were raised. Sua Ping stood in midair and raised his head. The golden streak of light was coming at him at a high speed. He quickly took action and captured it with his bare hand. After seizing it, Sua Ping offset the violent momentum of that streak of light and finally saw that it was a fruit that looked like a corncob. It was wrapped in green leaves, but it didn't have any kernels and the exposed part was quite smooth. It's him. It's our Lord. It's Boss Su. Boss Su is back. Our Lord is back. He jumped down from space. We're saved. All the bases across the globe were seething, especially those in the most populated subcontinent district. Countless people stood up from their seats in excitement. Sua Ping had stopped a beast tide on his own during the Battle of the Deep Caves, then fought against the Lord of the Deep Caves and saved the planet. He later became the new Lord of the Blue Planet. A lot of people had seen his face. Paintings and statues were placed in every base once he became the Lord. After all, he deserved to be remembered by all the future generations for saving the planet. All the legendary entitled men across the globe were shocked upon seeing Suaping on screen, and then cried tears of joy. Even though the blue planet had gotten closer to the Federation's influence, life hadn't been great. The blue planet was too weak when compared to other planets in the Federation. It didn't even have many legends. It had also suffered a huge loss in the Battle of the Deep Caves. The other planets could easily gather hundreds of Fate State warriors, while there were no more than 10 on the blue planet. Given the circumstances, the blue planet had been on the weaker side in all diplomatic relations. In the high sky a lot of people reached Suaping when he seized the fruit. All of them were overflowing with power, they looked as horrifying as angry beasts. Hand over the divine fruit. Who are you? You dare to take our fruit? We'll spare your life if you drop it. He has black hair and black eyes. Those are traits of the natives of this planet. All the chasers came to a stop and gave Suaping grim and cold stares. Disdain and killing intent instantly surfaced in their eyes when they gauged his level. A mere child in the void state dares to join the competition? Stupid natives, they don't know what they're doing. They don't even know what they can take and what they can't. Suaping instantly realized what he was holding after hearing their remarks spoken in the common tongue. He placed the fruit in his storage, then looked with cold eyes at those present. This belongs to the blue planet. It's outrageous to think that you're trying to rob us of it. He's indeed a native of the blue planet. All their expressions changed when they saw him pocketing the fruit, then they started to scold him. What's that nonsense? You think everything that grows on your planet belongs to you? Do uncivilized barbarians such as yourselves deserve such a treasure? I'll give you 3 seconds. Hand it over immediately. A tall and brawny middle-aged man in the crowd decided to approach Suaping. He had the aura of a peak Fate State warrior. He was determined to execute him. You're merely in the void state. Let me teach you a lesson. Suaping opened his eyes, with dazzling light bursting out. Get lost! Bang! The middle-aged man who was moving closer suddenly trembled. With disbelief in his eyes, he wanted to struggle and beg for mercy, but his body exploded when he barely opened his mouth. He exploded and turned into a mist of blood. The scene made many people narrow their eyes solemnly. However, more people looked at the young man in shock. Is he really a void state warrior? They didn't even see him attack. His roar was powerful enough to kill a Fate State expert. Our Lord is so awesome. Well, isn't Boss Sua too strong? He's become even stronger than when he killed the Lord of the Deep Caves. Everybody was shocked and excited to see that attack. Those who had trained their pets in Suaping's store were just as dumbfounded. Killing a Fate State expert with only a shout. He was definitely in the star state. That guy. In a certain special hospital, Nai Huofeng sat on his sickbed, stunned beyond words. He was in the star state, but he was also unable to notice how Suaping had killed the Fate State man, even though he had no doubt that it was star state power. Furthermore, not all star state experts had such power. Longjiang Base City, the Qin, Lu, Mu, and the other major families were watching the events unfold with shock and excitement. The disappearance of Suaping and his store had been like a miracle, none of them expected to see him become that strong upon his return. Tower Master Nai mentioned that the star state is a realm above the Fate State. The Lord of the Deep Caves was only a new star state being that had just grasped the laws, but then Boss Sua executed it while he was a new legend. Now that he's reached the void state, he must be even stronger. Boss Sua is truly a genius. He just killed a Fate State enemy with a roar while merely being a void state cultivator. He's so terrifying. The gap between human beings is really huge. What are you talking about? Are you sure Boss Sua is a human being? Don't feel happy just yet. There are many star state experts among the invaders. Tower Master Nai was actually hurt by them. Some of them are so strong that Tower Master Nai can't even resist a single attack. Even if Boss Sua is strong, he's only in the void state anyway and will probably be outnumbered. All their excitement toned down upon hearing that, later giving in to shock. That was very true. As strong as Sua Ping could be, he was acting on his own. Even if he was strong enough to fight Star State experts, he would still be outnumbered. Damn it, I wish I were stronger. We didn't help much in the Battle of the Deep Caves, and I don't think we would be of much help today. I really want to grow stronger. I really want to. I don't think we can claim the tree. Should we inform Boss Sua that we should just give in this time? Given his talent, he will definitely distinguish himself in the Federation, then he'll have a chance to get back at them in the future. How do we inform him? All the people surrounding him are Fate State and Star State warriors, will be killed before we get close. In Longjiang Base City, Qin Dehuang, Lu Tianzong and the others showed worried looks. Just as they discussed the matter, the invaders in front of Sua Ping ran out of patience. A woman on the top of a dragon declared, "You must be the Lord of the Blue Planet, right? You're in the Star State, yet you pretended to be in the Void State and ambushed my subordinate. How shameless of you! Lord of the Blue Planet? You're naive if you think you can claim the tree. Seems like the Blue Planet needs a new lord." Everybody else gazed at Sua Ping with cold eyes. They were also wary of each other as they talked, otherwise they would have already taken action to attack Sua Ping and snatch the fruit. While standing in midair, Sua Ping glanced at those present and said, "Word for word, I will give you 10 seconds to get the hell out of the Blue Planet, or none of you will live to tell the tale." Hey! How audacious! What do you mean? Are you intending to use your privilege to drive us away? Hee hee! How childish! We're not afraid of your privilege like others are. It's useless for those in the Star State, unless you have a Tier 1 planet and a big shot backing you. Everybody sneered coldly, not taking Sua Ping's threat seriously, at all. Why would we leave? Even if he accused them of planet invasion, it would take a long time for the case to reach the interstellar court. They could merely pull their strings and then the whole thing would be over. Right then the relatively close tree trembled again all of a sudden. Boom! Waves thousands of meters high rose from the sea down below. It felt exactly like before. It could be seen that the worldly energy was surging again and gathering on one of the branches of the tree. All the experts were refreshed to see that. Another fruit is about to be condensed. Hurry! They had no time to bicker with Sua Ping anymore, so they simply charged at the divine tree. Sua Ping looked at the scrambling invaders with killing intent radiating from his eyes. Whoosh! Sua Ping stomped and summoned the astral power from his cells. Then he instantly dashed forward like a pillar of lightning and hit one of the dragons in the back, instantly breaking its spine. Woo! The dragon shrieked and vomited blood before it fell to the sea down below. The facial expression of the master of that dragon changed, then he turned around. He was bursting with fury when he saw his pet, then he attacked Sua Ping. He launched a blazing meteorite that burned through the void. It carried a powerful law as it made its way towards Sua Ping. It was a law of burning that had a deep understanding. It could burn everything, including the laws yet to be grasped. Sua Ping, enshrouded by lightning, rushed towards the fiery meteorite without stopping, and it instantly exploded. Then, he pressed through the flames and approached the Star State young man in the blink of an eye. He smashed his fist heavily. Its aura had already shrouded the man like a falling mountain before his fist landed a hit. No way! The Star State guy widened his eyes in shock. Was my law attack blocked by this guy's body? Or did the man use his own laws? It happened so fast that he didn't see it clearly. Defensive treasures flew out above his head when the fist was about to hit him. At the same time, he quickly released ancient skills that formed crystal shields above his head. Bang! All the defensive treasures exploded during that collision. The laws of energy turned dim for them, but then they were squeezed into pieces and scattered. Sua Ping's fist punched down along with a mountainous aura. The Star State man's shields were broken through upon collision, then his head was hit and then blew up. Blood splashed everywhere, and the man was killed on the spot. The upper half of his body had been entirely damaged, and his remains crashed into the sea like a rapid cannonball, causing a wave within 100-meter range. What? Nearby another pair of Star State experts who saw the scene were astounded. The expert in the mid-phase of the Star State was killed by Suaping with one punch? While shock overwhelmed them, the Star State warrior in the lead had already reached the crown. A mysterious force field underneath the crown had sealed the space, no one had been able to tear it open, so they opted for physical movement. Suaping noticed them. He indifferently looked at them and then flashed to the crown. The space in front of his eyes was extremely solid. Suaping didn't attempt to tear it apart, which would have been a waste of time. God of Lightning, boom! Bang! 2 lightning laws were invoked. Adding the astral power that Suaping had summoned, he moved faster than the Star State invaders ahead of him, then he reached the new fruit first. The energy vortex on the fruit was already gone, and it looked identical to the first fruit. While merely standing in front of the fruit, Suaping simply picked it and put it in his storage. You bastard, what are you doing? Take it out! All the Star State late arrivals, those who had gone there a tad late, were bursting with fury and bloodshot eyes when they saw that Suaping had beaten them to the fruit. Suaping turned around and looked at them coldly, before he said, 10 seconds have just passed. You should die. How arrogant! You think you can challenge all of us? Being the Lord of the Blue Planet gave you this confidence. Let me see how strong you are. Don't think you can get away because you're fast. Guys, why don't we finish him off first? So that he doesn't steal the other fruits. Agreed. Very soon, all the invaders reached a consensus. The other Star State experts who had just arrived were also on board with the agreements. They looked at Suaping coldly, showing disdain and maliciousness. An enraged Star State old man drew his saber and attacked Suaping. Kill him! His saber aura was as brilliant as a river of stars. Many people below the Star State were so amazed by the beautiful saber aura that they had been left at a loss for words. Are those the Star State experts? They didn't know how many times she had practiced to perform, during such an ultimate attack. Suaping's eyes were suddenly opened with brutality bursting out. He was infuriated. Not only did those people make a blatant attempt to claim the divine tree, but they even attempted to attack its lord. They were absolutely lawless. Do they really think there's nobody capable on the blue planet? Roar! Suaping invoked the little skeleton and merged with it, instantly becoming more daunting, then he drew the bone saber and launched a saber aura. The power of laws was included in the saber aura. Thanks to the law of fusion, they were perfectly fitted in the saber aura, establishing an unstoppable force. After a boom, the sky shook and the saber auras were broken to pieces. Suaping streaked through the broken auras and raised his fist to punch at the enemy. The astral power in his body was like an inexhaustible ocean. He felt he was moving a planet whenever he threw a punch, seemingly pushing the planet. All the air and energy in the sky were pushed out, forming the most brutal fist aura. He was able to detect multiple laws contained in Suaping's saber aura, but all of them were shallow, they had limited power even when they were combined. What was really horrifying was the profound energy inside Suaping's body. The young man was like a human-shaped monster, his internal system was like a burning furnace. Bang! He quickly invoked his constitution and blocked when the fist came at him. Crystal scales appeared on his arm, it was the not-too-rare rock-class constitution. He had reached the peak of the Star State only because he had worked hard for tens of thousands of years. The void trembled, and the old man's arm glittered dazzlingly. His body fell straight down like a cannonball and he vomited blood. The other Star State warriors around him were shocked, since the old man was rather famous. He was known as Ancient Moon Saber God. Even so, he was defeated by the Lord of Blue Planet. This guy is at the peak of the Star State too. He's hiding his real cultivation. This ragged, primitive planet is headed by a lord at the peak of the star state? That's unbelievable. He should be running a tier 2 planet. Everybody, let's kill him together. No matter how strong he is outnumbered. Can't we beat him together? Someone in the crowd instigated, but the others were all in the star state and wouldn't be convinced easily. However, they did need to collaborate. It was impossible for them to obtain that wondrous tree without finishing off the planet's lord. Besides, that lord was extremely fast, it was hard to compete with him for the divine fruit. Die! Kill him! Many star state warriors took action, but nobody dared to engage Suaping in a melee battle. They released powerful law-based attacks combined with astral skills they had practiced. Dark Dragon Hound. Suaping widened his eyes furiously and summoned the Dark Dragon Hound, merging with it directly. Boom! The power in Suaping's body was further increased by the dual fusion. His astral power was overflowing. He charged at the star state opponents with bones surrounding his body. His attacks contained astral power and the power of laws. They were as powerful as 100 nuclear explosions, which could raise a continent. After a boom, Suaping broke through the attacks with divine lines and hot flames all over his body. He was as dazzling as a god. Go to hell! Suaping waved his saber and attacked the nearest opponent. His saber seemed to be cutting the sky apart. The star state young man was greatly shocked. He felt that it was impossible to dodge the attack. Even the oxygen around him seemed to have been pumped away, making it impossible to catch his breath. He quickly invoked his constitution and used all his defensive methods. Bang! 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 A lot of secret treasures were activated, but they were torn apart and knocked away the moment they flew out. There was a bam! The saber aura tore apart an ancient defense technique that the star state young man performed, cutting off his arms in the process. Just like an infuriated god of war, Suaping waved his saber again. Saber auras burst out one after another, all of them contained the laws he possessed. His astral power surged as if it were costless. Other people would have been exhausted if they performed that many powerful attacks, yet Suaping was becoming fiercer. Oh damn! This guy walks the path of multiple laws. Oh no! An early star state guy roared in fright and burned his essence and body, adding laws to a river-like secret technique, but the river was instantly ripped apart along with his body. Laws invaded his body through the fractures, instantly destroying his internal organs. Even his consciousness was pulverized. More and more star state warriors fell, some killed on the spot. Suaping strode onward, forcing his opponents to retreat. Everybody across the globe was lost for words as they saw those horrifying scenes. Countless people found it hard to believe. They had seen Suaping's terrifying performance in the Battle of the Deep Caves, but they didn't expect such a drastic growth in such a short time. It had to be noted that any of those star state invaders could have easily dealt with the Lord of the Deep Caves. And yet, they couldn't even resist a single attack from Suaping. The saber-wielding old man at the peak of the star state was recovering at the moment, as if he was waiting for the best opportunity. Is he invincible in the star state? In the special hospital, Nihwofeng looked at the scene in shock. He couldn't even imagine such insane battles, nor did he expect Suaping to change so greatly. If Suaping were to encounter the Lord of the Deep Caves again, he would probably finish it off with a casual attack. Boss Su is actually... Lu Tianzong, Qin Duhuang, and the others from the 5 major families were completely astounded. They had been considering how to relay a message and advise Suaping to retreat for the moment, but what happened next made their eyeballs pop out. Is that man the Boss Su we know? It was apparently something that could have only been done by Boss Su. They looked at each other in bewilderment, too shocked for words. The travelers from other planets were also shocked by the ongoing battle too. None of them had the guts to keep underestimating the blue planet. Go to hell! Suaping's body was covered by golden crow fire, which could burn and weaken the lesser astral power and laws. This would reduce their effect, making it easier to resist with just his strengthened body. His body was extremely hard to begin with, and he had attained the second level of the solar bulwark. Besides, there was the effect of the body polishing pills that Green Lady had offered him. His body quality was among the best even in the star state. His resistance to elements of all classes had also weakened the hostile astral power. The compounded defenses of the little skeleton and the dark dragon hound allowed him to ignore early and mid-star state attacks. He was fighting against a sky full of star state opponents when he was only in the void state. Sua Ping was doing the unimaginable, yet he was too infuriated to realize it. After a boom, Sua Ping stepped forward with lightning flickering underneath his feet. He instantly approached an opponent and stomped on his head. The man was quite frightened, not expecting Sua Ping to target him. He quickly blocked Sua Ping's feet, but then his arms broke and his cheeks were hit. Just like a mountain falling on his face, his head was ringing as he quickly fell down. Roar! Two dragons suddenly flew close. They were holding a golden chain in their mouths. It was unclear what the chain was made of, but it was evidently a remarkable treasure. Both of the dragons were at the peak of the star state, both performed their bloodline skills and surrounded Sua Ping at a crazy speed. Then, the chain quickly slithered and tied Sua Ping's arms. In the crowd a woman wearing black armor said with a cold smile, "You won't get away even if you're a deity. You've been shackled by my god-binding chain." There was disdain in her eyes. No matter how strong Sua Ping was, there was nothing he could do against that ancient treasure. It was impossible for a star state expert to break free from it, unless a Star Lord offered to help him. All the others were delighted to see the black-armored woman take action. The Black Tortoise clan is indeed extraordinary. I didn't know they had such a treasure. I've long heard that the Black Tortoise clan of the Divine Beast planet is formidable. They truly can't be messed with. Everybody, let's join hands and kill this barbarian. Kill him. The other Star State guys immediately took action. They had only been able to struggle and defend themselves earlier on. Finally, there was a chance to counterattack. Roar! The two dragons roared and hovered around Sua Ping. Not only had they tied up his arms, they were also going to restrain him completely. Sua Ping's eyes were wide open with fury, veins were bulging on his arms. The divine power inside his body burst out, and the energy of countless cells started to revolve. Boom! A fearsome power was emitted from his body as he roared. The two hovering dragons came to a pause, before they were hauled towards Sua Ping. Both of the creatures were shocked, they quickly flapped their wings and tried to stabilize themselves. Sua Ping shook his arms and extended his hands, grabbing onto the chain. "Come here!" Roar! Sua Ping let out a roar, and the two dragons trembled hard. They were unable to avoid being pulled towards Sua Ping. Everybody across the globe was too stupefied to say a word as they saw that happen with widened eyes. After seeing that, the black-armored woman dropped the disdain on her face and exclaimed in shock, "That's impossible. The man is only a human being, and yet he's hauling two dragons?" Even if Sua Ping was at the peak of the star state, so were the two dragons. Ho 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 ho! The dragons roared angrily and flew in the opposite direction as they were being pulled. But no matter how hard they flapped their wings, they were still being pulled toward him. "Come over here!" Sua Ping roared. He suddenly waved his arms, and the struggling dragons at the ends of the chain lost control of their bodies. They swung forward and then hit each other. The pulling force was gone the moment they hit, and Sua Ping suddenly flew towards them. Bang! A dazzling light burst out after a punch, and one of the dragon's head was blown up. Sua Ping then stepped on the back of the other dragon, breaking its spine. The dragon cried and vomited blood, before it loosened the chain and fell into the sea down below. Having the two dragons out of the way, Sua Ping grabbed the golden chain and coldly stared at the people in front of him like an unparalleled devil. All of his opponents were astounded. Two dragons at the peak of the star state, plus a super treasure, were unable to restrain Sua Ping. One of them had been killed and the other wounded. Is the Lord of Blue Planet really invincible in the star state? You! The black-armored woman was both shocked and infuriated upon seeing her dragons be brutalized by Suoping. She breathed heavily while she gazed at Suoping with overwhelming hatred. Suoping sensed her gaze and looked back at her. There was nothing but the coldest killing intent in his unemotional eyes. It seemed that he didn't care about anything, and he loathed everything. The black-armored woman withdrew her gaze unconsciously, as if having been bitten by a viper. She no longer dared to make eye contact with Suoping. Bringing this fact to conscious thought was even more shocking to her. She was at the peak of the star state too, and had been through countless battles. And yet, she didn't dare to look Suoping in the eye. Is the guy in the star state, or is he actually a star lord? Ms. Zixuan, join hands with the Baroque family. Since we've come to this, we really won't be able to finish off this barbarian if we don't take him seriously, said a brawny bearded man. The black-armored woman looked at him and nodded a second later. Okay. She wanted revenge, the two dragons were her treasures. She was determined to fight Suoping, not just for the tree. Nearby, a purple-eyed young man stepped forward and coldly suggested, he's the Lord of Blue Planet. This is his planet and his weakness. Considering what has happened so far, I don't think it's a problem to slaughter everyone on this planet. Everyone's expressions changed when he mentioned slaughter everyone on this planet. That was typified as a major crime in the Federation. All the perpetrators would be sentenced to death unless someone influential protected them. There are so many of us here. It won't be a big deal even if we slaughter everyone, as long as the planet itself is kept intact. After all, this is the cradle of humanity. As for the primitives that live on it, we can just kill them. That is correct. It'll be even better if we capture some natives and force the Lord to surrender. He'll be distracted by this. Does this barbarian have any relatives on this blue planet? Capturing his children would be the best. More and more people in the star state agreed with the slaughtering plan. To defend the tree or to protect the people on the blue planet, what would the Lord's decision be? Seniors, keep him occupied. We'll catch some natives, said someone in the beginning phase of the star state. Everybody else frowned at them but didn't say anything. Two of the proponents were at the beginning phase of the star state, it was pointless for them to stay there. The other early phase star state warriors regretted not stepping forward. They would have also taken up the task, but they were beaten to the punch and it wasn't advisable to make trouble and provoke divisions in their temporary alliance. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two star state men instantly flew away. You! Suoping looked at the pair of men who were about to leave with bloodshot eyes. Those star state guys had been talking directly, thinking that telepathically was unnecessary. It was unclear whether they wanted him to hear, or they didn't care at all. Suoping breathed heavily, and a fire was burning in his chest. However, he didn't lose his rationality, the angrier he was, the calmer he became. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two vortices appeared next to him. The Inferno Dragon and the white-scaled Vast Sky Thunderous Dragon stepped out, roaring. Their daunting vibe awed many Star State pets, which realized how extraordinary they were. Stop them! Little White, go all out! Show the world that you're not a useless mutant, but a Dragon King! The two dragons widened their eyes with unmasked brutality as they heard Suoping's intimidating declaration. The white-scaled dragon suddenly perceived something and looked up. There, it saw an enormous planet floating, seemingly about to fall on the blue planet. It was actually able to see the rumbling Thunder Continent, its hometown. There was a vague sensation that its kin were staring back at it. Its father and mother seemed to be among them. It was not a bastard with an inferior bloodline, it was a dragon king. Roar! The white dragon let out a loud roar, which was ancient and awe-inspiring. It didn't sound like a Vast Sky Thunderous Dragon at all, but a more fearsome and ancient dragon. A lot of Star State pets shivered after hearing such a call, with fear unavoidably surfacing in their hearts. Kill them! The nearby Inferno Dragon also roared and echoed its fellow dragon's fierce intent. Then, they unleashed the power of laws and swooped at the 2 star state men that were flying away. Hat! You think you can hold them back with just 2 battle pets? Not a chance. An old man with an advanced star state level stepped out and attacked with a purple rod that contained a horrifying power. The white dragon roared and flashed, dodging the rod while contorting into a weird posture, to then chase after the 2 fleeing star state men. The old man was stunned, and so were the other star state warriors, as the dragon's movement technique was rather strange. It actually looked like a lost skill. Don't bother with them. He doesn't have any battle pets right now. Let's join forces and kill him. That's right. He sent his battle pet away to rescue people on the blue planet. That's hilarious. Haha. That's exactly what we wanted. Our plan has worked. Everybody was delighted. They had deliberately talked right in front of Suo Ping's face because they wanted him to get distracted. The situation was even better than expected, given that Suo Ping had voluntarily sent his pets away. As for the 2 star state men who were sent to slaughter the planet's inhabitants, they were just bait. Die! Everybody unleashed all their strength and charged at Suo Ping with brutal abandon. Power of laws were interlaced, all sorts of terrifying sword auras and astral skills were launched towards Suo Ping. Some of the star state men were standing still and preparing their ultimate moves. Ho 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 ho! The Inferno Dragon, halfway through the charge, couldn't help but look back and want to reinforce Suo Ping. Suo Ping noticed this and simply roared telepathically, "Don't bother me." The Inferno Dragon hesitated, but then gave in to Suo Ping's irresistible order and continued chasing after the star state men ahead of him. It seemed to be burning its blood and trying to finish the battle as quickly as possible. On the other side, the white-scaled vast sky thunderous dragon was equally infuriated. It quickly caught up to the 2 star state men, leaving the area under the crown of the tree where space was locked. Whoosh! It quickly flashed into the void. Oh no! The 2 star state warriors' faces showed concerned expressions. They quickly realized that the dragon with strange scales was actually a vast sky thunderous dragon, which excelled in spatial skills. Boom! The 2 men quickly summoned their own pets. Dragons, demonic pets with twisted bodies, and rarely seen elemental pets appeared around them, which then released all sorts of skills. The 2 men were surrounded by skills and traps, waiting for the white dragon to come out. There was a booming sound, then a sharp claw emerged from the void and swiftly moved towards a rotten demonic pet and smashed its body. The power of several laws burst out and lightning raged, instantly tearing that beast's body into halves. The demonic pet was at the beginning level of the star state, even so, it had been killed in the blink of an eye. Damn it! One of the star state men roared and ordered his other pets to attack the enemy together. Roar! The white dragon roared and aggressively made a move toward one of the dragons. All kinds of skills exploded over the white-scaled vast sky thunderous dragon, tearing its scales apart and making it bleed. However, it fought with an even more frenzy and bloodthirsty spirit. It bit the other dragon in the neck, its fangs piercing like hundreds of swords. The enemy dragon screamed and summoned ice, trying to freeze the white dragon. However, its neck had been bitten apart before the ice could spread to the white dragon's body. It had applied the law of cutting to its fangs. At the same time in Rhea, above the blue planet on the mountain where the vast sky thunderous species gathered, all the dragons were still in shock due to the planet's movement and decided to postpone the execution. Later on, the consecutive battles on the blue planet had astounded them. None of them remembered the impending execution after the planet stopped. The white long serpent on the ground and the brawny vast sky thunderous dragon were also attracted to the battle on the planet. Neither knew what to say. They could sense that the human beings battling were all as strong as O'Neill, the actual lord of Rhea. O'Neill, on the other hand, had suppressed the vast sky thunderous dragons for 1,000 years, making it impossible for them to resist. What place has this planet traveled to? A lot of the vast sky thunderous dragons were shocked. Exactly at that moment there was a scene that shocked all the dragons on the mountain peak. they saw a familiar figure that had an identical body to theirs, although its scales were white. Is it the inferior bastard that the princess and the long serpent gave birth to? The clan master of the vast sky thunderous dragons was equally stunned. It easily recognized that the dragon was the disgrace of its family, one that it meant to execute a while before, which was also its own grandson. Linner, on the ground both the long serpent and the vast sky thunderous dragon were stunned. Then, they widened their eyes with disbelief and shock. Their child had revealed itself in front of so many strong human beings. How dangerous was that? Still, what happened soon after was an eye-opener for all of them. The allegedly inferior bastard unleashed an unbelievable power. It killed 2 star state pets in the blink of an eye. It was even stronger than their current clan master. Many of those dragons inadvertently looked at their clan master when they realized that, only to find that the clan master also seemed to be too shocked to believe its eyes. Linner, the long serpent and the vast sky thunderous dragon were frightened, too. Is it really our child? It had only just stepped into the ocean state recently, it was already able to kill star state beings instantly. Was it really the disgrace of its family and an inferior bastard? Apart from the dragons in the rumbling continent, the other continents were also able to witness the battle on the blue planet. Even though some of them were on the opposite side of the planet and were unable to see directly, all the media enterprises had been streaming the breaking news globally. People in every corner of the globe were watching the battle. Isn't he Boss Su? Isn't Boss Su a Grandmaster trainer? Why is he so shockingly strong? He must be at the peak of the star state. It's so horrifying, are all Grandmaster trainers this good at fighting? All the people on Rhea who had previously met Suaping were utterly dumbfounded. There he was, at the center of the battle, challenging a lot of men on his own. The Grandmaster trainer in their eyes had turned into a god of war. The power he was unleashing was enough to sweep all across Rhea. It completely overturned their understanding of Grandmaster trainers. Above the sea on the blue planet Suaping had already engaged star state opponents. He activated the solar bulwark and his sorcerer's constitution to weather through all the skills thrown at him. Then, he attacked anyone he saw. Bang! Someone in the beginning phase of the star state exploded, unable to resist a single of Suaping's attacks. My star moon bell can restrict anyone in the star state. Freeze! Roared an old woman in the advanced phase of the star state, and a spinning spell flew out of her sleeve with intimidating light. That secret treasure was innately carrying a perfect law that could trap peak star state beasts for one moment. Suaping saw how the ancient bell quickly expanded to dozens of meters tall. He then flashed and hacked at the bell with dazzling coldness bursting out of his eyes. The bone saber in his hand sent out a horrifying wave, and then the bell cracked. Suaping punched the bell, which then let out a loud noise and fell down, losing all its brilliance. Suaping stepped forward and marched towards the old woman. My bell! The old woman saw her star moon bell be wasted by Suaping. She widened her ever-serene eyes and cried, clearly devastated. Suaping said, I'll make sure you meet it soon. After a boom, he kicked away a dragon that flew close from one side and ignored multiple attacks from the other. Then, he launched a saber aura that shrouded the old woman. She replied madly, I won't let you get away. All her battle pets flew out and uttered intimidating cries. A pet that looked like a phoenix exploded, its burning blood turning into a sun, only to be cut apart by Suaping's saber aura. The other pets also flew towards him like moths to a flame. The saber aura eventually faded away. Suaping became even more infuriated. He reached the old woman in the blink of an eye and aimed to smash her face. The old woman was shocked, not expecting Suaping to be virtually unstoppable. How could he have so much astral power? She quickly raised her arms to block the attack, but they were then broken and she could only scream. With laws such as annihilation and boom imbued on his fists, Suaping then punched her through and reduced her to a mist of blood. Not dallying for a moment, Suaping stepped out of the mist of blood and continued marching to face the other star state warriors. Is he a monster? Why is he still so strong? Does he have an endless source of power? All the remaining Star State warriors were shocked, given that Suaping seemed to be even stronger than those at the peak of the Star State. None of them would have felt confident in defeating him in a one-on-one battle. He was invincible under the Star Lord state. Is this the Baroque family's best? Are you still going to hide your ultimate attacks? Zixuan, the black-armored woman, angrily looked at the people from the Baroque family. The other Star State warriors joined in with glares of their own upon hearing that. The Baroque family members showed slight changes in their expressions, letting their anger show, but they knew that it wasn't in their best interest to bicker. They had to count on the other Star State counterparts to hold Suaping back. I was just preparing the ultimate skill. It's ready now. Why are you so hasty? Snapped the leader of the Baroque family. A shadow surfaced on his back and quickly stretched out, connecting itself to Suaping as fast as light. Then, the shadow tied Suaping up, acting like a thread. Hurry! The other Star State members of the Baroque family roared. It was the shadow binding technique, a secret Star Lord art. They had only grasped the preliminary levels, but it was good enough to deal with Star State foes. If it was completely mastered, they would even be able to restrain small worlds of Star Lords. Everyone charged at Suaping, seeing that he had been immobilized. Suaping's blood was roiling after he endured all the attacks. His body was sturdy, but he still looked like a madman with all the blood covering him. He unleashed all his strength, but it wasn't enough to break free from the shadow. He attempted to change his cells and transform his body, but the shadow restricting his body changed accordingly. Is he really a human being? Kill him! The Star State experts were frightened to see how unnaturally Suaping was able to twist his body, to a point that he didn't look like a human. That wasn't something that someone of star rank could achieve. Divine pills. Suaping tried his best but was still unable to break free. He had to extend some of his cells to fetch the divine pills in his storage, seeing that everybody was coming at him again. Boom! Energy that felt like a big bang surged inside his body like a flood. Suaping felt like his body was being torn apart. All his veins and cells were filled up by the energy. He was in agony as if he was going to fall apart. Roar! Suaping couldn't help but roar. The rampant energy knocked aside the shadow outside of his body. He launched the power of laws and punched the shadow with the rampant energy. The shadow seemed intelligent. It was appalled and quickly retreated, trying to flee. However, Suaping's fist accelerated and struck multiple times faster and stronger than before. There was a boom, and the shadow exploded. The entire void seemed to have been smashed by a hammer. Far away, the leader of the Baroque family changed his expression and vomited blood. His then pale face looked at Suaping in shock. That artifact had been obtained from an ancient mysterious realm and had never failed to work on anyone below the Star Lord state. The other members of the Baroque knew how powerful the secret technique was. They were so stunned to see how Suaping had broken free that they forgot to attack. Phew! Phew! Suaping's body was expanding uncomfortably. He simply charged at his opponents with bloodshot eyes. He dashed forward at an astonishing speed, using his super acceleration the whole time. The rampant energy was also aiding to make the acceleration much higher than usual. Bang! In the space underneath the crown which had been confined, Suaping moved as fast as if he were flashing, and punched a Star State woman. She was blasted to pieces before she could react. Her pets had just realized the situation, but their contracts in their heads were fractured, causing a momentary stupor. Suaping ignored them and charged at the Star State guys on the other side. Oh no! He's so fast! We can't resist! All of them were appalled to see Suaping going after them like a devil. His power went beyond what they conceived about the Star State. Bang! Bang! Suaping sprinted in the midst of lightning bolts, punching or waving his saber. The pets and their masters in his way were unable to withstand a single of his attacks. Bringing out all their secret treasures didn't help, either. Sua Ping's power was so shocking that it had influenced the laws. Even the laws that worked on a deeper level were interrupted by Sua Ping's rampant power. 3 star state experts and 5 battle pets had been hit in the blink of an eye. Some were killed, and some ended up riddled with holes. The next moment, Sua Ping executed 7 star state experts. Early star state experts' lives were reaped as easily as weeds. Those in higher phases who managed to resist Sua Ping's attack also suffered from heavy injuries. Sua Ping was absolutely unstoppable at the moment. All the people on the blue planet and Ria were shocked by Sua Ping's killing spree. He seemed so strong that they might have thought he was a Star Lord. He killed people on the same rank easily. The people on the blue planet had even more complicated feelings. They knew that Sua Ping didn't become a legendary warrior until the Battle of the Deep Caves not long before. Sua Ping was only in the void state at the moment, which was probably not a disguise. His cultivation even enabled him to slay star state opponents while outnumbered. All of them would have thought it was a dream if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes. To call him a genius would be an understatement. He was absolutely an unparalleled monster. And yet, such a monster had grown up on the blue planet. What did he go through after he left the blue planet? In the special hospital, Nai Huofeng was stunned and couldn't understand Sua Ping. Such a monster was beyond common sense and his knowledge. The people in the Longjiang base city were shocked and excited. The ordinary people didn't understand the difference between the star state and the void state, but they could tell easily that Sua Ping had invincible power. That was the Lord of the Blue Planet. They had thought that it was pointless even if Sua Ping had returned. After all, they heard that all the invaders were star state Big Hots who traversed the universe. Even so, they underestimated Sua Ping. Boss Sua is indeed unbelievable as usual. I'm in the void state too. Why am I so weak? I think I've brought shame to the fate state. Not just the 5 families, the remaining legends from the tower were also dumbfounded. Is he the monster whose heavenly tribulation covered an entire continent? I wonder what will happen when he advances into the star state. So horrifying. Bang! In the sky, Sua Ping executed all star state opponents like a ferocious tiger. Those warriors had traveled from the neighboring planets. Some were in teams, such as the Baroque family, but they had also suffered heavy losses. The family leader had been heavily wounded, and 2 star state members had been killed. Rot in hell! Sua Ping stepped forward and reached Zixuan, who belonged to the Black Tortoise clan. Zixuan instantly felt goosebumps all over her body, covered by a full set of black armor. She didn't expect the situation to change so drastically. There were so many star state experts present, a handful of them were even at the peak. Still, there was nothing they could do. She looked at Sua Ping waving his fist and felt as if she were being shrouded in a golden pillar of light. There was no dodging the attack. Her hair was fluttering and her fair skin made her look like a deity. Even though her black armor covered her completely, her sexy body figure could still be seen. No, no. Zixuan narrowed her eyes. Next to her, 3 star state experts from her family noticed this and their expressions changed, all of them exclaimed as they tried to rescue her. However, their voices sounded distant. Zixuan felt separated from the world, and all that she could see was Sua Ping's cold eyes and his fists descending. She felt as if she were seeing death itself, but she had been through countless dangers anyway, so she managed to calm down instantly. She gritted her teeth and activated multiple treasures. She also performed a complicated madra in the blink of an eye. Buzzing! Magnificent astral power surged out of her body and formed a yellow beast. She activated her battle constitution and urged the secret treasures to fly to the beast's back. Boom! Sua Ping's fist smashed away, as if about to shake the world. Energy was flooding in the entire skyline. Zixuan trembled hard and vomited blood while taking cover underneath the beast. She felt that her veins and bones had almost shattered. While gritting her teeth, she was slightly relieved to have weathered through it, even though it was painful. But she changed her expression the moment an idea popped up. Boom! A second collision happened, immediately followed by a third collision. After a boom, the secret treasures on the beast cracked one after the other. There was a fourth collision after that and the beast faded away. She raised her head, only to see a glowing fist. Bang! A fifth punch was launched, overwhelming her body. There was nothing to protect her any longer. The sea water in the area right under Zixuan sank to a frightening degree due to the blast of the punch. Zixuan was no more, even her blood was nowhere to be seen. All that was left was the ragged black armor she was wearing. Zixuan. A few of her fellow Star State clansmen were nearby, too shocked to talk. Zixuan, a peak Star State warrior, had been killed. It had to be noted that Zixuan was among the best when it came to defense abilities. However, she had failed to resist Suo Ping's 5 punches, not even her body remained. Suo Ping turned around and felt that there was still an abundant surge of power in his body. He looked at the surrounding Star State opponents and swooped at them with brutal abandon. One of them activated a secret treasure to resist his attacks, only to be struck and hurled to the sea along with the treasure. Whether he was alive was uncertain. Everybody else was dumbfounded, as Suo Ping appeared invincible at the moment. The pills he took are surely some sort of forbidden drugs. His strength has been multiplied by the drugs. That's cheating. We can wait a while and come back after the effect runs out. Let's retreat. Such pills would definitely have strong side effects. He won't end well. Anyone with the ability to reach the Star State was smart. They instantly inferred that the pills Suo Ping had taken would definitely come with strong side effects. He wouldn't have been strengthened so greatly if otherwise. The world was fair, the more you got, the more you had to endure. If this weren't the case, Suo Ping would have taken the pills at the beginning. Whoosh! Whoosh! All the warriors turned around and fled. Some got away from the tree crown area and then flashed away. The others, seeing that the team had lost unity, also had to retreat, even if they wanted to continue fighting. Nobody was able to block Suo Ping at the moment. Where do you think you're going? Coldness burst out of his eyes. He had given them an opportunity, yet they chose to slaughter the planet's population. You think you can just run away when you fail? Not a chance. Die. Suo Ping chased after them at full speed. The Star State invaders were terrified and could only flee. They were seeing him like a terrifying beast. He defeated all the Star State opponents on his own. How can a Grandmaster trainer be so strong? Are all Grandmaster trainers so unbelievable? On Rhea everybody was astounded, unable to believe what they had seen. All those escaping were Star State Bigs Hots, qualified to purchase planets and be their lords. Still, they were running like rats while Suo Ping gave chase. Cheers were already bursting out on the blue planet. Earlier on, the foreign forces had arrived on the planet while dead set on splitting up the divine tree amongst themselves, leaving out the locals. Even Nai Huofeng, who tried to speak to them, was heavily wounded. He would have been killed if he hadn't been courteous. They had only seen with frustration how the foreign forces did whatever they wanted on the blue planet. They were thrilled that the villains were punished. Long live Boss Su! Long live the Lord! Cheers burst out in every base city on the blue planet. Even the ordinary inhabitants were excited, shouting to vent their pent-up frustration. Under the tree's crown, Suo Ping was still chasing invaders at full speed. He killed close to 10 Star State enemies on his way, while knocking many battle pets into the sea. The sea creatures had already been scared away from the area, none had dared to stay there. Suo Ping was soon the only one left in the air. All the remaining Star State warriors had run off. The last one who had rushed out of the area had just escaped into the void, but then Suo Ping broke in and caught him with his familiarity with the tertiary space. He kicked the guy out. The man's last thought was his disbelief, since he wasn't even able to flee from that man. Is he the Lord of the Blue Planet? He's so horrifying. How can the Lord of a Tier 5 planet be so strong? It wouldn't be improper if he was asked to run a Tier 1 planet, would it? All the foreign travelers on the blue planet were shocked, instantly changing their attitude. At first they had only treated the local population as animals for enjoyment instead of beings of their own kind. None of them dared to act arrogantly any longer. In the air a gloomy-faced Suaping looked at the waves in the void after killing that man. The Star State invaders had been fast as they fled, it would be very difficult to catch them. Humph, I'll get back to each of you after I've recovered. Suaping's eyes were cold. Did they really think they could get away after causing trouble on the blue planet? He would let everyone know that all invaders would have to pay a price. The side effects of the divine pills started to kick in just then. Suaping felt that the astral power in his body was declining, and all his body parts were cramping, his condensed cells felt empty at the moment, as if his level were dropping. Suaping's face had a slightly changed expression, he had to find a place to rest and consolidate his cultivation. Is this the divine tree? It was the casual voice of a stranger who raised his head and looked up at the tree crown with curiosity. Suaping narrowed his eyes, he saw a young man in bizarre clothes several thousand meters away from the crown. The clothes were multicolored, presenting patterns of birds and beasts. It resembled the clothing of certain ethnic minorities. Every Star Lord was a dominator of an entire planetary system. However, the blue planet's former system had no other planets with life, being a lord of such a region wouldn't not count as remarkable. However, other systems in the Federation would have planets with thriving life. Even the planets unsuitable for survival could be modified and made inhabitable within the scope of the Federation. To put it simply, a Star Lord commanded many Star State warriors. They were very powerful. Are you the Lord of the Blue Planet? The young man in weird clothes turned around and looked at Suaping. Then he suddenly narrowed his eyes. Void State? Your concealing technique is remarkable, even I can't see through you. Sorry, but I really am in the Void State, said Suaping gloomily. The young man chuckled and said, you're still pretending in front of me. You must be the reason why those Star State people fled just now, right? They blatantly invaded my planet. They deserved it, said Suaping, holding his temper. He could kill those in the Star State with ease, but the gap between him and a Star Lord was still too vast. Any Star Lord could easily kill peak Star State experts. The strong preying on the weak is a universal law. They couldn't beat you, yet they came to invade. They deserved what happened to them, said the young man with a casual smile. I think you're a talent. You're as good as some of the best Star State warriors I know. Are you interested in working for me? Suaping's eyes flashed. He asked, what will you do if I refuse? The young man smiled and said, a proud man, just as I expected. If you refuse, it's simple. I'll destroy what I can't have. This divine tree is strange and I want to have it. You would definitely hold a grudge against me if I spare your life. You may bring trouble to me when you become a Star Lord. He spoke casually and sounded quite reasonable. Suaping, however, fell silent. He knew that the guy was right. He had only two options, to surrender, or die. Suaping looked up at the sky, wondering if Green Lady Onria could unleash her power from the store and defeat that young man. The young man looked at the place where Suaping was looking and remarked as casually as before, that planet doesn't belong here, yet it flew all the way here. I feel like it's covered by a mysterious power. Do you know why? Suaping didn't say anything. He made an attempt to communicate with Green Lady via telepathy. Exactly at that moment a vortex appeared between the blue planet's atmosphere and Ria's, and a triangle-shaped spaceship flew out. The spaceship hovered between the two planets and then changed its course, breaking into the blue planet's atmosphere and flying straight toward the divine tree. Hey! Both Suaping and the young man noticed the unexpected spaceship. Suaping's expression changed slightly. Is that another force coming? But he was soon stunned by what he saw, since he was able to make out the spaceship's insignia. It was the emblem of the Alliance of Stars. Whoosh! The spaceship circumvented the enormous crown, then flew to the place where Suaping and the young man were before coming to a halt. The door of the spaceship was opened, and a lot of Star State men flew out. Once they left the vessel and respectfully positioned themselves in two lines, two people floated out of the spaceship. They were none other than the leader girl and her deputy. Suaping had seen it coming when he recognized the spaceship, but he wasn't fully relaxed until he saw all the familiar faces. That childish woman was able to survive, so he still had a chance to get the Tree of Laws. "What a huge tree," remarked the girl who had just floated out of the spaceship and looked up. She turned around and then saw Suaping and the young man next to him. "Who might you be?" She didn't look happy, as Suaping had ragged, blood-stained clothes. She was thinking that the Star Lord was the one to blame. The young man dropped his casual smile when he saw the girl and the deputy. He frowned upon hearing her unfriendly voice, then asked, "Who are you?" Sylvie was a large galaxy with plenty of solar systems. There were hundreds of Star Lords, not counting those from other galaxies who made the trip for fun or adventures. It would be normal for them not to be acquainted. "Humph! I am Xingyu Shen'er from the Alliance of Stars," declared the girl proudly. It was the first time for Suaping and most of the Alliance of Stars members to hear the girl's real name. Suaping was quite surprised to find that the girl's name was just as vain as herself. The Alliance of Stars. The young man frowned as he searched his memories. Then he changed his expression and snorted, "Aren't you from Zirupran? What are you planning to do here?" "What are we planning to do, you ask?" Xingyu Shen'er chuckled and said, "You hurt someone from my alliance, yet you ask me what I intend to do? Let me see. Are you trying to rob this strange tree from one of my men? I'll give you 3 seconds to get the hell out of here before I rain hell on you." The members of the Alliance of Stars were speechless. They had been observing the situation and could already guess what had happened. But they didn't expect their leader to be that arrogant, straight off asking a Star Lord to get lost. That man was a dominator. Suaping raised his eyebrows too after hearing what the girl said, but he was slightly relieved. In any case, the girl was on his side. "What did you say?" The young man became grim and cold. "Do you think I can be bullied because I'm outnumbered? I don't need to deal with you." "2," said Xingyu Shen'er indifferently, as she reported the countdown. The deputy leader next to him had already unleashed his profound power. He had previously acted like a statue or a puppet, but he quickly became the center of attention. His aura was already inflicting tremendous pressure on the alliance members. Tides were also rising in the sea below them, as if attracted to his aura. The scene was suffocating to most people on the 2 planets. Suaping had just gone on a rampage and defeated a bunch of Star State experts, but then several men who were even more horrifying had appeared. The man's aura had already changed the weather and raised tides in the sea. His power was unimaginable. The young man grimly unleashed a powerful aura too, which twisted the space around him. A special power was spreading out of his body, which was the power of faith. A tiny bit of it was enough to crush mountains and pierce through planets. The faces of the alliance members changed and quickly chose to retreat. They were no different from ants when Star Lords fought, and they would be killed indiscriminately. 1. The girl slowly raised her tiny finger. The next moment the deputy suddenly burst out with eyes widened furiously. A horrifying shadow thousands of meters tall appeared next to his back. The shadow seemed to be in another space. It quickly disappeared into the deputy's body, making him grow into a hairy, muscular giant. Bang! He dashed out like a rumbling train. The sea underneath him was split up when he moved forward, with a massive tide rising. The young man also took action and a horrifying shadow also surfaced behind him. He merged with it and fought the deputy. The 2 of them collided at the edge of the tree crown. Then, both of them disappeared. Suaping and the members of the alliance realized that the 2 men had entered a deeper space. They didn't even need to tear the space open, they were able to enter the deeper spaces with nothing but a thought. Nobody dared to watch the battle, Xingyu Shen'er was the only one qualified to do so. However, she seemed to be quite confident of the outcome. She casually stood there and waited. All the people on both planets were stunned, not knowing what was going on. Time ticked slowly. Given his attainments in the law of space, Sui Ping could vaguely sense how dark waves were rising and ebbing in the void, as if a horrifying being were on a rampage. Half a minute passed. Those 30 seconds felt like 3 months. All of a sudden there was a boom, then the void fell apart 10,000 meters away. A man who had scales all over his body was flung out. He was exactly the young Star Lord. He flew back with what seemed to be a thick ape's foot on his chest. Then he fell straight into the sea. Bang! The surface of the sea exploded, waves were raised within a radius spanning thousands of meters. A hole seemed to have appeared at the bottom of the sea after the explosion. Sea water was flowing back into it. Following that, the deputy leader and the young man fought their way out of a deeper space in another place. This time, the young man had lost one of his arms, and the deputy leader was chasing after him with a glittering axe in his hand. The young man roared furiously and escaped into the void again. You should have known better. Xingyu Shen'er chuckled right after, as if she would have seen it coming. Star Lords weren't of equal strength. She happened to be one of the stronger Star Lords. Therefore, she had easily noticed that the young man was much weaker than her butler. The alliance members were deeply shocked, not expecting their taciturn deputy leader to be so horrifying, able to crush a Star Lord. No wonder the leader was confident when she asked the man to get lost. So, a Star Lord could be much stronger than another peer. Soon after, an explosive sound came from the edge of the atmosphere and faded before anyone could notice the origin. 2 minutes later, a man stepped out of the void next to Xingyu Shen'er. He was exactly the deputy leader who had just fought. He currently resembled a mix between an ape and a bear. He was holding the axe in one hand and a severed arm in the other. He said while the fur on his body began to retract, "He escaped." Okay. All Star Lords are good at escaping. Xingyu Shen'er nodded. She didn't attack partly because of her pride, and partly because she knew she couldn't stop the guy from running away even if she did attack. A Star Lord could be much stronger than any of the same level, but it was impossible to prevent the weaker one from fleeing, unless there was an unimaginable difference in power. Sui Ping felt relieved after hearing their conversation. Thank you for rescuing me, leader. I should be the one saying that. Xingyu Shen'er looked at Sui Ping. The arrogance on her face was gone, and she said with a sweet smile, "We would have been annihilated if you hadn't warned me." Great. Sui Ping smiled and thought, I only warned you because I didn't want to lose the Tree of Laws. Thank you for your warning, Brother Heaven Destroyer. We all owe you our lives, Brother Heaven Destroyer. You've done us a great favor. Just come to me if you need anything, Brother Heaven Destroyer. All the members of the Alliance of Stars took turns in offering thanks in a warm and courteous manner. Sui Ping had already won their respect with his combat abilities. Besides, their leader had told them that they couldn't have survived without Sui Ping's timely warning, indirectly saving them all. How did you track me down? Asked Sui Ping curiously. Cough. O'Neill was in the crowd. He coughed and then said awkwardly, "Our leader wanted to thank you in person after we escaped from the Divine Residence, so she asked me to lead the way. But then I found that my planet was gone when we got there." He wore an extremely weird expression as he talked. All the others were doing their best to hold back their laughter, as it was also the first time they had heard of a similar incident. I instantly contacted the Leifa family and finally learned that my planet was somehow pushed away, so we tracked it down. Fortunately, our leader has a great spacecraft, which allowed us to arrive in time. O'Neill scratched his head, feeling like a clown. Sui Ping coughed and then changed the topic. Well, what happened when you left the Divine Residence? The mention of the Divine Residence made all those present show solemn and grave faces as they looked at each other.